day 10 of the adventure, the last day, June 7th, 2009, and I thought I'd kick off the morning's filming with a walk around the area, of course, Potts Point, King's Cross, and the great Wayside Chapel, famous in the area for helping out a lot of people, a lot of drug problems, alcohol problems in the area, and that's why King's Cross, I guess, has its seedy side, but those guys do an awesome job. And on the weekends, you'll find the markets with clothes, you can get your future told if you want. Buy a book or two, plenty of stuff to see and do, especially on the weekends. There's always a great atmosphere in the area. But as with most mornings, I like to kick things off with a coffee, so I did that at the Fountain Cafe and a chance to look over the paper and the stories of the day and the gangland dramas, all the news. Jodie Gordon from Home and Away in the paper for the wrong reasons. But this is the big story. Underbelly 3 looks like it's writing itself at the moment in Sydney. Water going to cost $1,000 a year, that's a bit of a joke. This photo here with the story was a bit interesting. And there you go, IQ's going down. That's an interesting one right there, probably right. But the big story in sport, of course, is Federer tonight. Can he do it? Become the greatest of all time. The Socceroos, they are through to the World Cup, which is just absolutely unreal. And then I walked around the area and had a look around. Of course, this place was pretty much the dodgiest area in the Cross, but now they've fixed it up with 2 new nice bars. The Empire Hotel, a famous landmark in the area, and of course King's Cross, famous around the world for its strip clubs and what have you. Very, very popular at night, and people come from all around the world. Just on this street, it only goes for about 200, 300 metres at the most, just lined with different clubs. That is probably the most famous Coca-Cola sign in the world at the entrance to the Cross, and when you turn around you can see a great view of the city and the Centrepoint Tower. Just a perfect day to have the camera out with the weather and everything to capture the sights. This cafe here is where Trotfest started. Not that actual location, but at that cafe, John Paulson started the great idea, which has become a huge festival around the world. And a famous cafe across the road where I ran into Tony Mundine. Couldn't believe it, he was sitting there having a coffee. And Tony, one of the greats of Australian sport, if he was around today doing what he did back in his career, he'd be an absolute superstar, right up there with the biggest of all time. Of course, his son Anthony is rocking it right now, winning world titles, and he's going to go a long way too. But it was great to catch up with Tony. Check him out on Wikipedia, it's an incredible story, and it was great to film a quick chat with him on the street for the web show. Alright, randomly on the streets with Tony Mundine. How are you, buddy?
I'm really good, champ, really good.
That's the way. Mate, I do a show where I travel around and I ask people about their stories in living dreams. So, can I ask a little bit about your career? I mean, you're a big name in Australia for a long time. How did you get into boxing?
Well, I was just a little boy from the country, from the bush, came to the city and wanted to be something, so I went to the gym and started to punch the bag and try to make it quit back in the days in the early 70s, and that's where I got into it.
You went a long way, man, because back then when you were fighting, those guys that were the best were really the best. There was only like one division for each guy, and you climbed the ranks. I mean, were you proud of your career and what you achieved?
Oh yeah, pretty proud. You know, mate, I've broken all records in Australia, so it's one of the things that I retired undefeated in Australia. I had 96 fights, 65 knockouts. I won 9 titles. I'm happy and took out a brain box and laughing.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, how hard did you work for your career? I mean, that's something I love to sort of get across to people. You guys actually work so hard to achieve, don't you?
Oh yeah, you put your hard work in, you achieve in the long run. But most things, so my opinion, I say to people or young kids these days, I'm a man. At the moment, I haven't drank any alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, and live a good life and a clean life, and just look after my body.
That's amazing, because when I interviewed Choc last year, he said exactly the same thing. Always stayed away from that stuff. That's a good effort in itself, isn't it? Well, society we're today.
Well, that's true. You know, it's very sad. So many kids these days all got the ability for something, but you look after your body and you put your 100% work into it, you can achieve something down the track.
Good for you. Now, do you get blown away the fact that you achieved so much in your career, and now Anthony's doing pretty well for himself, isn't he?
Oh, he's going really well. My blame, young bloke. At least he won the world titles, mate. He won 3 world titles so far. So I didn't even win one world, but that's a two generation. Back in my day it was hard, but today he won 3, and good luck to him.
Yeah, good on him. I mean, how do you feel sometimes when if you read the paper? I know you come here for coffees quite regularly with your friends, and do you read the papers and see what Anthony says sometimes? What do you think about that?
Mate, I think nothing about it. What did he say? He's a man now. He's
certainly backs it up.
Well, he backs it up, and he do what he want to do and say what he want to say. But at the moment he's doing well. So what can anybody say?
Yeah,
That's awesome, Tony. Well, the last thing I'd like to ask you, man, is advice you'd have for people out there. I mean, obviously your son's committed and focused like you and achieving. What advice would you have for young people out there about chasing dreams?
Well, you got to dream. You got to do it the right way by living a good life, and also think that you can do it. Anybody can do it if you really put a dream into it and hard work, and just go for it, man. Just go for it.
So anything's possible.
That's it, man. Yeah, it's true.
Good for you. Great to meet you here. Thanks for the chat.
Take care. See ya, mate.
Yeah, so that's pretty much been the best thing for the last 10 days, just roaming around without any plans and stumbling across people and the great places like Bondi Beach. Getting the bus down there on a day like today, look at it, it is just absolutely postcard perfect for people that come and visit all around the world. It really is just one of the most special places on the globe, and the locals that live here are very lucky, and great to be down there with the camera, just roaming around and getting little glimpses of the things that are famous the world over, the atmosphere and what you see on a typical weekend, a Sunday afternoon in Bondi, a guy in the pool there skating around right near the beach. And when you step up off the stand, there's great places to hang out on the weekends like Ravisi's. Anywhere in Hall Street, there's some beautiful cafes and everything to hang out at, and you wouldn't believe it, I ran into an old friend who's now working for MTV and filmed this.
Well, it's very random, isn't it? Because we're in the gutter in Bondi with Millie. How are you?
Keeping it real, I'm good. How are you, Togsy?
Very well. It's so funny running into you, so random. When was the last time we saw each other?
Probably years ago.
It was, before you came to Sydney?
Before I came to Sydney.
Now, you probably know
3 years.
that I do a show about dreams, so you've been chasing yours. Tell us about how it all came to be.
Short story, came to Sydney for work experience with Cleo. Got recommended by the editor to a PR company. Had an interview, wasn't right time. I was too young to leave home. Moved to Melbourne with no job. And then ended up moving up here. Got a job at this PR company about 2 or 3 years later. And then, worked in that company for a couple of years. We did an event with one of our labels at the MTV Gallery. And that was always my dream place to work. I met the PR manager and she was like, I've been meaning to call you guys so we could do some work together. And I was like, or you could just hire me. Yep. And she was like, interesting. And then I just hassled her for about 6 months and finally got the job.
Yeah, so great fun catching up with Millie, and I'll put the whole of her interview on the web show as well. But for me, it was time to check out the markets and continue the adventure the last day, which had me going up to North Bondi, which is a great part of the world, and to catch up with Sam Brito. There he is there, walking out of his apartment to say g'day. Of course, Sam's blog, that's how I first got to meet him, reading his stuff online, goes all around the country. He's written a book called The Lost Boys, and he's just got a lot of stuff going on, a great writer, and always fun to catch up with him. And we went back to his place to film a quick chat for the show.
What's been happening in your world since, the success of Lost Boys last time I caught up with you?
Oh, look, what's been happening? I've fallen in love. It's been a big event in my life.
How long were you single before that, by the way?
Look, single on and off, but nothing serious for quite a few years. So it was
big change.
Yeah, it is a big change. It's nice to have met somebody who I can share my life with.
Yeah.
And so that's been, I guess, the biggest change since I last saw you. And
when I first met you, I was always a fan of all the things you're writing about. So how's it changed the way you do your work? It's pretty full on.
It's interesting. It's something that I've discussed with quite a few of my friends. Is that because what I write online and in my novels is quite confessional, having to take into account somebody else's feelings and somebody else's life has been challenging. It's something that we've had to negotiate, and I'm just used to saying whatever I want, and that's kind of been my MO with a lot of my columns. I tend to write about things that other columnists are too embarrassed to admit, and now I realise that can impact on somebody I love. So I've removed a few strings from my bow in that regard.
And so this is pretty much where the fat lady's supposed to sing, because that wraps up the 10-day challenge. The last interview with Sam Brito there in Bondi. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but a great adventure being on the road for 10 days without a real plan, just being spontaneous as I make a demo for the awesome thing I want to do next year in 2010. But really appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot.